Hello and welcome to GCC Pueblo. You are watching this video to be aware of the basic safety policies, site regulations and requirements, hazards, emergency training, emergency procedures, and the rules for contractors and subcontractors performing work at this site. If you fail to comply with any requirements provided on this video, GCC reserves the right to ask you to leave or have you removed from the site. Upon the start of this video, you should have been given the site-specific hazard awareness consent form that works in conjunction with this video. The consent form must be signed and executed by all vendors and contractors before receiving permission to enter the site. On behalf of GCC, we hope you have enjoyed your stay, and remember, our priority here is your safety.
Can you kind of powder my face like that just a little? GCC is a non-public access area. Visitors, contractors, and vendors must sign in at one of the two desks in the main office or warehouse building. Unless other arrangements have been made with GCC management, all site visitors, contractors, and vendors must be escorted by GCC personnel or assigned by GCC management to certain work areas or destination sites and shall be required to work or remain only in those assigned areas of the site. All employees, contractors, vendors, and visitors must wear safety glasses, hard hats, and steel-toe boots at all times on the site, unless excused with GCC's permission from wearing any of these items required where posted throughout the site. Whenever you deliver to or work in areas of the site which contain reagent or other chemicals, additional personal protective equipment, full body protection, and a face shield or goggles may be required.
We're going to have dinosaurs in the back of us with the green screen, or GCC does not allow the use of flash and or no flash cameras or video recorders, including but not limited to cell phones and voice recorders of any type at any time on this site without the prior written consent of GCC management. Firearms, alcohol, or illegal drugs are not permitted on site. Persons suspected of being under the influence of alcohol or drugs will be removed from the site. Travel is restricted to established roads and surfaces. All traffic signs and posted speeds must be obeyed. This is a restricted smoking facility, and these will be pointed out to you if your needs require it. No one under the age of 18 is permitted to be on this site unless they are taking an approved and escorted site tour and accompanied by a responsible adult. Park your vehicles only in approved parking areas.
First motion forward is accomplished by backing into a parking spot or pulling straight through a parking spot so that the vehicle is left in a position to pull forward upon its next movement.
Set the parking brake whenever you leave your vehicle. Use of seat belts is required at all times in vehicles that are supplied with them while on the site. You must operate your vehicle and equipment in compliance with any applicable federal safety standards. Reflective vests are required to work in or visit the site areas. Trash, waste, or spills of any type must be reported to GCC management immediately.
Yeah, no Chris with a K. Obey all warning signs posted on the site. They are there for your safety and for the safety of others. No one can enter the quarry without first contacting the quarry crew on Channel 1 to receive permission to enter. Blasting occurs in the quarry area. No one is allowed in this area and must remain in the designated safe zone during blast operations. All areas of the site are right-hand traffic. Heavy equipment has the right of way. Smaller vehicular traffic everywhere on site. When entering the intersections of areas where heavy equipment is being operated, stop and remain in your vehicle. Get the operator's attention and then proceed when given the signal of the operator. Heavy equipment has a right of way over pedestrians at all times. No vehicles may be parked on haul roads or within the boom radius of cranes, backhoes, or excavators without the permission of the equipment operator. Do not walk under suspended loads. Be alert of overhead operations and of slippery floors and tripping hazards. Do not run while on the site. Do not lean over railings. Stay on the designated walkways.
Never look directly at any cutting or welding operations. Keep your hands and arms at your side whenever you are in the area of operating machinery and equipment. Entry on the preheat tower is given by GCC permission and escort only. If alarms are given to evacuate this area, leave immediately and accompany your tour guide or assemble at the designated area for your work area. Always chock your wheels or turn front wheels uphill into an embankment or berm. Never leave engine running and the vehicle or equipment unattended at any time. Drivers of self-unloading transportation will remain near their controls at all times while material is being unloaded. If it becomes necessary to leave the area for any reason, the unloading process must be stopped first. GCC can be susceptible to sudden changes in weather, including storms, wind events, ice, snow, and other conditions. If a storm comes in the site, immediately stop work and move into a building or vehicle until the danger passes. Areas have been marked for tornadoes, and if one occurs while you are in the pit, stay in the pit away from the high wall. Potable water is available from the supplied dispensaries or in the main buildings and warehouse buildings. All of the water on site is non-drinkable. Do not enter any area of the site without being escorted or directed by a GCC employee. Foot traffic is not recommended in the quarry area and only allowed if approved by the quarry manager or crew.
Should tell me not to look right in the light. Now I can't see the car. This site is under the jurisdiction of the Mine Safety and Health Administration, or MSHA. Contractors, subcontractors, and service personnel will be required to fill out the pre-qualification questionnaire prior to performing work on the site. All contractors, subcontractors, service personnel on site on a regular interval must adhere to all applicable local, state, and federal standards. All contractors, subcontractors, and service organizations that fall under the minor classification must have MSHA ID numbers, proper training plans, training and task training for employees, and provide all such information and documentation to GCC. No GCC equipment will be run by any contractor or subcontractor unless proper task training has been performed. In compliance with our hazard communication programs, the contractor, subcontractor, or service organization will provide GCC with a list and material safety data sheets of any hazardous chemicals brought on the site. Any chemicals brought onto this site must receive prior approval by GCC management. Never leave your work area or areas without the knowledge and permission of a GCC supervisor.
The use of the site restroom facilities and lunch area is a privilege. If not taken care of, the contractor, subcontractor, or service organization will lose privileges of these areas. The GCC warehouse is a closed warehouse. All material, parts, and items will be checked out using proper inventory control numbers and procedures. Contractors will have to be escorted by a GCC employee while in the warehouse areas. Contractors and subcontractors will park in the designated area outside the gate for their employees, and in designated parking areas for company vehicles at the work site. You must inspect your work area and vehicles for safe operating conditions, report and correct any safety problems you find in your work area or with your equipment during your regular daily inspection before you begin work. Watch out for slipping, tripping, and hazardous low head clearances, as well as constricted work areas. Watch out for other workers, machinery, and heavy equipment being used in your location. Many work areas could be dimly lit, which will require you to provide sufficient lighting for safe working conditions.
Keep the guards on all portable power tools that you bring to the site. Power cords must always be in good condition. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, shall be used at all times during your work on site. You must follow our approved lockout-tagout procedure. Contact GCC management for specific information on these very important safety procedures. All contractors must use approved fall protection systems or equipment whenever they work in an area where a fall to the ground can cause injury. This includes, but is not limited to, a man lift, man baskets, and elevated work areas. All contractors are expected to follow the GCC confined space procedures whenever inside tanks, grizzlies, manholes, or other spaces which are classified as confined spaces by such policy. Spills of any fluid, chemicals, or hazardous material of any quantity must be reported to GCC management immediately. Immediately notify GCC personnel of any warning alarms, hazards, or unsafe working conditions in, near, or are seen around your work area.
See that, or halfway.
In an emergency situation, always follow the direction of the experienced employees in your work area. Emergencies are announced via radio or emergency sirens. When an evacuation is initiated, all personnel on site shall meet at designated assembly areas immediately or follow instructions given by radio. Persons directed to assembly areas must stay within these areas until the hazard is eliminated or unless otherwise directed. If an injury or damage incident occurs to you or your employees while they are on this site, call Channel 2, the control room, or 719-647-6850 to report immediately. The GCC control room is in charge of any incident within the site boundaries at all times. If you must reach an outside line in case of an emergency, dial 9 first to reach an outside line. GCC personnel can be reached on the following radio channels: Quarry, Channel 1, Control Room, Production, Maintenance, Channel 2, Shipping, Channel 3. First aid boxes are located throughout the site. Familiarize yourself and your employees with their locations as required to be used. You are expected to provide your own first aid supplies and trained personnel while on our site. GCC does not require their employees to administer first aid, fight fires, or rescue trapped or hindered employees. Contractors need to make arrangements for their own support in connection with these matters or conditions.
I'm not meant for screen time if you haven't noticed. GCC Pueblo has developed and implemented an integrated management system called IMS. This is based off the ISO standard 14,000, 45,000, and 9,000. As part of the IMS, all persons working for or on behalf of GCC shall be familiar with the basic commitments in the GCC IMS policy, available in the administration building. Be aware of the important environmental risks, safety hazards, and quality requirements related to your job and the areas you work in. Be aware of and follow the IMS procedures, operating controls, and other requirements related to your job and the areas you work in. Respond to emergencies in accordance with the GCC Pueblo Emergency Response Plan. Report all emergencies as soon as possible. Be familiar with evacuation procedures and muster points. Report incidents in accordance with the nonconformity and the corrective action procedure. All new chemicals to be used by employees or contractors must be approved by the procurement department prior to use.
On behalf of GCC, we hope you have enjoyed your stay, and remember, our priority here is your safety.